Hi, thanks for joining my third concept class. I have a 30-minute Dian style practice lined up for you today. And in consideration of this style, the postures are held for 3 to 5 minutes, at least that's how we'll move through the class today. And in thinking of that, in an active dynamic style practice, I'll often cue to find your edge. The work happens there. In Yin, the work happens in that place where we take a step back. So that's finding your first point of stretch, giving pause and easing out when you come out of a posture. It's a bit of a subtler practice, not that you won't feel intense sensation or different things come up for you, but whenever you have a moment to think, take a step back, move into that kind of less is more feeling. All right, let's get started. Bolster is optional, great to have. 2 blocks are definitely going to be helpful in this practice. Connect your big toes to touch and open your knees. Walk your hands out until your forehead rests towards the floor. And if it doesn't, a block can bridge the gap. There's elevation between your hips and your heels. The block can also create that support. In these first few moments, just as we have a good amount of time in each posture, allow a good amount of time in your setup. That could be knees wider to create more space through your inner thighs, open through your hips. Knees closer together is going to direct the focus more to your low back. The placement of your arms is up to you to create sensation or to find comfort. And as you settle from the shifts, the movement, allow yourself to settle into relative stillness. Notice the pressure of your body into the floor and how the floor presses back up and gives you a support to relax into. And scan your body from the crown of your head down to the base of your spine and out through your extremities. Observe any grip, any ease, and acknowledge it all with the same neutral judgment or neutral awareness. And direct your focus to the movement of your breath. Observe the ebb and flow that is constant even within the stillness of this practice. It is a constant with ebbs and flows of intensity of thoughts. Your breath is always there and something to tap into to keep you present or to inform how to proceed with your practice. Specifically observe how your breath interacts with this shape. There's contact between your belly and your thighs. Feel your belly move into your thighs to expand your breath further. And also imagine that your ceiling has contact with your back body and feel the equal expansion front and back, but also through your side ribs. Imagine your inhales traveling from your rib cage down towards your belly button. And exhales, belly button back towards your ribs. And take that simple observation as you sink into this posture and observe the shifts in tissue, in breath, in mind. These last 5 cycles of breath. And still with the idea of your breath moving downwards towards your belly button, upwards with your exhale. Allow that to travel a little further past your belly button, all the way to the base of your pelvis. Notice the expansion that your inhale creates there. And exhale, your heaviness to sink into the floor. And keep your hips heavy on your heels. And as slow as you can, take one palm in at a time and press yourself up into a seated shape. It's more approaching it with ease. Nice and slow, just as you came in, just as much as the hold was long. Give yourself ample time to release. If there's lots of sensations in the tops of your feet, your shins, you're welcome to shift to one side, find cross-legged, any place that you can come back to stillness. Settle your eyes closed and observe how that feels in your body. Notice any tingling, any warmth, any sense of circulation, maybe a flush to one part of your body. And observe if there's any thoughts to rush right to the next shape. You can simply be and take a moment to reflect on shifts in your body. Now allow your eyes to open and shift forward onto your palms to hands and knees. Connect to blocks underneath your hands to give yourself some more elevation. And step your right foot forward to the outside of your right hand. If the floor still feels far away, feel free to adjust the setting of the blocks. While your arms are relatively extended, not sinking into the shoulders too much. So find that right height for you. Observe the sensation through your right inner thigh, hip joint, your left hip flexor, the front of your hip. And if it feels intense already, back out. Take that step back. And through the course of this hold, of this stretch, and the movement of your breath, you might observe a sink, a natural deepening into the posture. And you get to choose to follow that feeling or stay put. Just as much as we can find a physical unwinding within this practice, the stillness, the space that you create in these holds is also where a lot of mental processing can happen. So observe if there's any thoughts that are present for you, ones you wish to engage with to see through to the other side, or ones that you can let simply pass by. And at this halfway point, offer yourself another check-in. observation of the tension, the grip, anywhere in your body, perhaps your jaw, perhaps your hips. And send your awareness there with your breath, and for this next half, you could be where you are. You could pull back a little bit. Notice what actions you take are driven by expectation. What actions are taken from more of a deep sense of knowing of where your body is most going to benefit from this posture. And 5 more belly breaths. Return to this visual of your breath moving down, expanding out the base of your pelvis. And exhales, return you home. Incrementally, ease yourself out. Start with a little shift back of your hips, pressure into your palms. And then guide right knee next towards your left. Set your hips back to your heels, or once more you can find that cross-legged seat. You can even find a belly down position to fully feel your body supported by the mat. You have another moment of pause. An opportunity to reflect. Observe the sensation with your left hip flexor, the front. If that differs on the right side, any difference in the location of the stretch, intensity of the stretch. And on both sides, observe if there's any dissipation of sensation. And if that sensation moves even more internally, perhaps a gurgle of digestion, twitch of your muscles on the inside. And reopen your eyes and ground your palms back to your blocks and step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Once more, move into your posture with the block setting that serves you. And tune back into the sensation. Your right hip flexor, your left inner thigh, and where you feel the sensation might be different on this side. The intensity might be different. So adjust this shape, that little step back, but it might be a smaller or larger step back than the other side. Now within the physical form, we're really targeting the deeper tissues of the body with these longer holds. And holding the postures longer, there's more space to not only dive into the musculature, but get into the deeper connective tissue that is harder to access. And you might acknowledge perhaps a parallel that can happen through your mind. And starting with the sensations, the touch of your body against the floor, the warmth of your body, perhaps the sense in the room, what you see with eyes closed or eyes open, the sound of your breath. As time goes by, you can move more internal to the processing that happens as your body slows down, your nervous system slows down, and the processing that happens in your mind as you have this space to reflect. this halfway point, give another assessment. Do you want to stay where you are? Let your breath take you further, or pull back to just a touch. And observe if those actions, the choices that you make, are ruled more by your like or dislike of the sensation, the experience right now, or if by taking in all the sensory input that you have, that the processing happens and you make your decisions based on that. Not only the sensation in your body, but how it might affect your body, how it might affect yourself. Five more cycles of breath. Run your tongue along the fronts of your teeth and feel your jaw slacken. Your teeth separate. And slowly ease your way out as we access deeper tissues. A little bit of a slower reaction in the rebound as well. Ease out of it. Take that time for your body to readjust. And once more, you have a moment of integration. That can be belly down. It could be in a simple seated position as before. But once you find that place to center, to scan your body, scan the movement of your breath, the thoughts that are present in your mind, just simply observe. Nothing else to do. If you are seated, make your way onto your belly. Create a number 11 with your forearms. Extend your chest forward. And for this back bend, already if you observe any compression through your low back, bolster is great underneath your belly. Create a little less curvature and pressure through your lower spine. On this shape, there is definitely some work happening in all of our postures to sustain us, but the goal is less of an active stretch and more of the passive relaxation focus in our stretch. So observe what is necessary to keep you supported, a little pressure into your arms to keep your shoulders from sinking in, but then notice where you can let go and soften your glutes. Relax your toes into the floor. And choose a placement for your head. It might be a little more lifted if your tendency, your patterns throughout the day are to shift your chin forward. You might purposefully make the choice to draw your chin level with the floor. Now, as your belly is contacting the floor or perhaps the bolster, you can feel the restriction in the expansion of your belly. And with that restriction, allow your breath to fill more into your back ribs, taking up space where it's available. couple more minutes within this posture, you're welcome to stay as is, or for a bit more compression through your low spine, press into your palms and come upright. Once more, there is definitely activation that is happening, but where can you let it go? And remember, it's just a choice. Observe if your choice to lift up comes from an expectation to, a thought that it's the more ideal posture or the more effective posture. And if any of those thoughts resonate, perhaps you take that step back. Last 5 cycles of breath. Imagine your inhales expand from the top of your feet up towards your chin. And exhales just naturally draw in between those 2 points. And if you did have the bolster, gently slide it off to the side and return to your prone belly down shape for integration. Notice the difference in the compression in your spine as it was, the elongation as it is now. Not only the fact that there is that difference, but how does that difference feel a little bit different? And where is the sensation in your front body, in your back body? Now, in this more elongated state of your spine, how does your breath flow differently? Is it still easier to breathe through your back ribs? Or do you feel your breath move down into your low back, creating space there? And gently walk your forearms back in, and tuck your toes and lift your hips away from the floor. Walk your knees in and press up onto your palms. Shift your toes to one side, hips to the other, and find a seat. Now this last posture, you don't have a bolster, no worries. But if you do, you can join the bolster right to your sacrum, the lowest part of your spine, so your hips are still grounded and it's just back behind you. Then take your blocks with you as you lay back on your bolster, not on your bolster. And take the blocks at any setting that feels supportive underneath your thighs. And in the spirit of taking a step back from expectation, perhaps from intensity today, and check in and make your choices be guided from a place of that concept. So not necessarily where you feel the deepest stretch, perhaps where your body feels the most supported, the most safe to actually relax, to give in to the contact, the pressure of the blocks back into your body that you can relax into. And so you have the pressure more into your back body, against the floor, against the bolster. Observe if your breath flows freer through your front. Now this is a great place to stay if it feels supportive in your body for the last few minutes of this practice, but if you'd like to find a different shape for integration for your last Shavasana, feel free to make your way there. Anywhere that feels supportive, you can soften into and simply be. And it's in this space, as we've taken throughout this class, the mental processing happens so that when you meet something like sleep, you might find that there's less mental processing that has to be done, and so the quality of sleep increases. That the mental processing of the mundane things that can be done within the holds of this posture leaves room for more imagination, for different parts of your brain, different parts of your mind's activity can have the space to function. I'll guide you back out when it's time. You're welcome just as you are. If you'd like to round out this practice seated, allow small movements to return to your body. Increased awareness and conscious guidance of your breath to return. And as you might be in a different position than I first set you in, I'll leave it up to you to guide yourself with just as much mindfulness and slowness back to a comfortable seat. And it'll be in that seat that you join your hands to heart center and give this last moment of pause to reflect. How did taking this space feel in your body? And how does it manifest in the way your breath moves now? And how that your thoughts move in this moment? And with this experience, you have the ability to come back to it, this memory now engraved of how it feels to pause, to take the space, and get to choose what to do with that memory. And take one more breath in together. Exhale, let it go. Namaste. Thank you.